Hello and welcome to this tutorial in how to build in Second Life. What you do is first go to a build enabled area. It will be an area called a sandbox where you can usually build for free and res your items. First, to get started, you right click the ground and left click create or build depending on your viewer, and then simply left click the ground. This will res what is called a prim, and you will see that there is arrows around the prim, and it also opens the build window. On here you will have the options to move, rotate, stretch, and also the shortcut commands to do so. What the move option does is when you left click one of the arrows, you'll see that it highlights. It will simply move the prim, and if you rotate, hold down Control or select that option, it will let you rotate the prim. The stretch does exactly what you think it does. It stretches the prim in the direction of the dots you select. You have the option to stretch both sides if you check this option, and if it's unchecked it will only stretch in one direction. Now on this build window you have underneath the prim manipulation things here, you have the name field where you can type in a name for the prim, the object you're making. You can type in a description. You can set options here, what you want to happen when someone clicks the prim, if they sit on it, or if it's just a touch event, that's the default, or if they pay the object or buy the object. You can set the object for sale at a certain price, and you can set the permissions. Further up here you have a button that is called unlink, and I will try to explain what that does. If you want to copy this prim, let's just rotate this so that it's set to a somewhat straight angle so we see what's happening. If you want to copy this prim, you will hold down Shift key on the keyboard and left click one of the arrows and drag it to the side. This will make a copy of the prim, an exact replica. And to link these two items, you shift click the items you want to link and you press link, or you can press the Ctrl-L. This will mean that if you now move, both prims will move at the same time. So they are linked as one object. And in the same way, if you unlink, they will be two separate objects again. So if you move this, only that one will move. Also, on the Object tab, you will have the options up here, where most of them are a bit advanced to use, but the one that is useful for beginners is the phantom. It will simply mean that if you have built a prim like this, it makes it phantom, meaning that you can walk through it. It's useful for anything from doors to well, any prim that you want to be able to walk through. If I set it to non-phantom, it will well, it will stop me and I won't be able to walk through it. So that's useful for some things, and you will realize what you can use it for once you start building. Down here you have the position of the prim in the world. This is the height above the ground. We're up in a sky sandbox now, build area. You can move these with the up and down arrows. That's usually not as useful as the size down here, where you can set the size of the prim. If you don't want to use the CTRL-SHIFT and drag to increase the size, you can set this to a specific value. Say you want it to be 2 meters wide, and that's useful if you're building something and you want it to be specific dimensions. If we copy this prim, shift and then click drag, make a second one up there, you see you have the lines here as you move the prim. If you go out to the side here, it will snap to these lines, and that will let you align these in a really exact way. It will leave you with no gaps between the prims. And that is this option up here, the snap option. You see, if I don't have that one, I don't have the grid or the ruler to snap to. So that's a good option to set. Now you can increase and decrease these values with the arrows, but if you hold down Control, it will decrease in lower increments, and if you hold down Shift, it will use, I think, just 1/1000th of an increment, or even less. So that depends on what you're doing, how exact you are wanting the size to be. The rotation, same thing. If you don't want to rotate with the option up here, rotate, you can set these to an exact value, like 45. That will be an exact 45-degree angle. Now the grid also works on rotate. You see you have the grid here that it will snap to, and 45 is right up there. So you can do this in many different ways, but if you want an exact value, you have the numbers here for that. Now on the other side here you have the options to really do something about the shape of your prim. This is the path cut option. It will cut a wedge out of your prim. Let's see if we can zoom into that one that I'm editing. So you see the begin path cut, it will cut out wedges of the prim, and you can set the end value and it will simply cut wedges out of the prim. The hollow is what you think it does, it hollows out the prim. You have the skew option, which will skew the prim. It's visible in another angle here, but it will actually skew it to the side, like tilt it a little bit. Let's set that to 0 again. Now the hollow shape, I think I explained that before. You set what type of shape you want the hollow to be. And this will let you do different interesting things with the prim. You have the twist option. Let me show you that on this prim. If you twist the prim, it will simply twist around its own axis like this and make a corkscrew spiral type shape. And you have the taper value, which will taper the prim. Let me show you that on a perfectly square prim. You see it's tapered like this. It'll be, if you put this to 1, it'll be a pyramid. And if you do it on the y-axis, it will be even more pyramid, a real pyramid shape like that. So the thing to building in Second Life and to creating interesting shapes and put them together is simply play with these values, look at what you're trying to make, look at what geometric shapes they are made up of, and then try to create these individual geometric shapes and link them together to create the object you're trying to make. That is with if you're just using prims. There are ways to create mesh items and sculpt these, which are other ways of other objects in here that are you know, more, what should we say, realistic or lifelike. But prim building will get you started, and it will take you a long way, and it's really fun. The next tab on this build window is the Features tab. This is interesting because this will let you change the features of the prim. For instance, if you want to makes it flexible, it's useful when you want to make well, the basic example is if you want to make a flag, you can make it flexible, and that means it will, you know, flip like this. It will be just soft. It will be flexible and look like it's following the winds in Second Life. You set all these different values of the softness and the gravity, and see, if I increase the gravity to a higher value, it will, you know, slump down like that. If I put the gravity to 0.1, you see it'll be well, less affected by gravity. This is a trial and error way. I mean, you just have to play around with these values. It's I'm not going to explain what individual values does, but they will simply let you set a flexible path. That's for making the object move, or with the wind, etc.